The Jimmy Z Show.
All right, there's a story out of Florida. And this is, I guess it's good news, but I'm reading it. I'm not so thrilled. The headline is in Clearwater Beach, Florida. Republican David Jolly defeated Democrat Alex Sink on Tuesday in a Tampa area House district where President Barack Obama's health care overhaul got its first test ahead of November's midterm elections, and both sides spent millions of dollars auditioning national strategies. And what that means is both the Democrats and the Republicans were giving their campaign strategies a test run. But get this. With nearly 100% of the vote counted, Jolly, the Republican, had 48.5% of the vote, and Sink, the Democrat, had 46.7% of the vote. That is a difference of, and I've done some math in my day, that's a 1.8 point difference. The difference is less than 2 points between the Republican and the Democrat. There was also a Libertarian candidate, Lucas Overby. He had 4.8% of the vote. Now, I'm not one of those people who believes that the Libertarian only sucks up Republican votes. I do think it's probably more Republican votes than, of his 4.8%, maybe 3.5% was Republican. That's only a guess. But it's not like the entire 4.8% of the vote would go to the Republican. There would be some splittage there. But I do think that the Libertarian makes it a closer race. But what bothers me is you still have 46% of these people in Florida, in this particular district, who are voting for Democrats. It makes you wonder if they're even paying attention to what Obama is doing. And whoever the people are on Medicare, who did they vote for? I can't imagine that 46.7% of the people in any district would be voting for the party of Barack Obama. You have to be, when you see what's going on and you see the concern over what Obama and his administration are doing, all the scandals and the spying and the lies and the controversy and the conspiracies and the corruption. How can you find a district in Florida that's voting 46.7% for more of it? That's pretty scary stuff, if you ask me. I wrote on Facebook, the Libertarian douche made it much closer than it should have been. But with 46.7% of the voters still voting for Democrats, where is our message failing? That's what the Republicans need to figure out here, is because somewhere the message is not getting through. And I'll tell you something else. Nationally, the Tea Party is still going after Republicans they don't like. And that damages us everywhere because it makes the Republicans look like they're not confident and competent. With all this division inside our own party, this is not the time, even though there is that division, this is not the time to advertise it. Think about it this way. If a mother and father need to make a decision about raising their children or disciplining their children, one of the main things that mom and dad must do is present a united front. Now, there might be some disagreement that they're going to work out in private, but when they sit down and talk with the kids, if they're smart, they're going to be united. That's what Republicans need to do, and that's what the Tea Party needs to do, is realize that job one right now is keeping the majority in the House of Representatives and winning the majority in the Senate. Period. That's it. Now, mom might think that dad has a bad idea about discipline. And I'm not talking about beating kids. I'm not talking about anything crazy like that. But at some point, they're going to have to agree and not give the children any idea that there's any disagreement at all. That way, the children are not going to start working mom against dad or dad against mom. I remember my brothers and I tried that one time. I forget what it was. Maybe we wanted to ride our bikes down and buy candy bars at the store. Who knows? But we talked to my dad. Hey, what do you think? We want to get some money and go down and buy candy bars. And I forget what Dad said. Something like, well, dinner's coming up. You'll spoil your dinner. No, I don't think that's a good idea. So then we went in the house and asked Mom. We tried to get Mom to override Dad's veto. And Mom's answer was, what did your dad say? That was awesome. We never had a chance. So in my analogy, the American citizens, the voters, are the children. And I know it's the analogy kind of falls apart here because the people who are trying to be elected, the Republicans in Congress, are the parents, which is totally untrue. These people in Congress have been blowing it in just about every way possible. And I'm talking about Republicans right now. But let me rethink this, because that's not true. That's not what the analogy is. And I'm sorry to drag you through all this free thinking. But that's radio. Now, in this analogy, the children are the voters that we're trying to appeal to. The moderates, the independents, and the liberal Democrats. And the parents, the mom and dad that might disagree about how to discipline their children, are the Tea Party conservatives and the Republican hierarchy. So the moderate Republicans can be mom, and the Tea Party conservatives can be dad. And so those are the two parties that need to come together. That's the couple that needs to present a united front for the children, and they are represented by the voters who are still willing to vote for Barack Obama. And we must, conservatives, Republicans, moderate Republicans, rhinos, we need to come together. And unfortunately, it's going to be the Tea Party that must come together with the Republican Party, because right now, the moderates in the Republican Party, the rhinos, if you will, they are not going to capitulate, and we are going to have to come together with them. And we don't have time to force them to capitulate. We don't have time to force them to give in. There is no time. There is 8 months, and it's maybe less, and it's election time. And we've got to win these races. We've got to win these races. We cannot afford to lose even one seat in the Senate. Not one. We can't give up Mitch McConnell's seat. Now, it turns out that the Tea Party guy who's running against Mitch McConnell may very well be able to beat the Democrat. But again, is it worth the risk? You're going to have to decide, because this race in Florida was way, way, way too close. And that's in Florida. And we have tight races we must win all over the country. So I think United Front, we've got to look like a political party that knows what the hell we're doing. And even if it means the Tea Party is going to have to come together and work with some people that we don't really like, that's the nature of politics. Always has been. And you cannot get rid of all the scumbags in one election. It's impossible. You're going to have to be careful and do it over a period of time. And this job of turning the Republican Party more to the right is not going to take years. It's going to take decades. And you're going to have to be devoted to it, and you're going to have to stick to it, and you're going to have to never give up. And I know you don't want to hear this, but some of us will probably not be here before the job gets done. And did that make sense? By the time the work is done, some of us may already be gone. It's going to take a while. But we cannot afford these elections. That's the other thing. We got to get rid of the libertarians. You libertarians are a big pain in the ass. You know that? Libertarian candidate, sucking up votes. And I believe, it's probably 65-35%. And that would be 65% Republican, 35% Democrat. This is only a guess. But that's how I would guess that the Libertarian vote shapes out. The Libertarian is taking more votes away from the Republican than he is the Democrat. That's my opinion. That's my guess. I don't have any statistics. Don't ask me for them.
The Jimmy Z Show.